Happy holidays indeed. And again, thank you all so much for your patience here. And yes, I do recognize that there are a bunch of Christmas decorations behind me when Tomas and I are talking about a Thanksgiving show. We're talking about a Thanksgiving show, but all of you assholes want to celebrate Christmas during Thanksgiving anyway. So there we go. But I mean, for a bowling shoe ugly show like this one, I had to break out the ugly sweater for this. I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
yeah.
First and foremost, welcome back to the ZNT Wrestling Show. I am reporting from parts unknown. I am Tomas. This is Zach. We love talking about professional wrestling. We need to come up with a motto, something like that. We love professional wrestling. We love talking about professional wrestling. And today is no different than any of our other podcasts. Thank you
No.
once again for being patient with us during this holiday season. We got vacations, we got stuff going on, but we're going to review all these shows, and we know we're a week late, but it's not a bad thing that we run these a little late because more things develop and it gives us more to talk about. And let me say this first and foremost. You saw us last week around this time review All Elite Wrestling's Full Gear. And
Yes.
I probably went on like a good 10-minute rant, a passionate rant about how AEW is just not doing good right now and the booking is nonsensical and everything backstage is a hot mess, and it's really making me disappointed as a fan, and I want AEW to thrive and yada, yada, yada. Well, here's the thing. We are not a bias channel. We're
No.
not going to sit here and run AEW through the mud and then turn around and sugarcoat things for WWE. If WWE puts out a bad show, if WWE has poor booking decisions, we're going to be right here to run them through the mud as well. And that's a good segue into this was not that good of a show.
It was. I don't want to say it doesn't hold a candle to any of WWE's other great shows that they put on this year. And WWE has been very consistently solid when it comes to premium live events ever since Triple H took over, like over 2 years ago at this point. Wild that I'm saying that at this point. It's been over 2 years since Hunter has been in charge of creative. But he hasn't really put out a horrible show. And I don't want to say Survivor Series War Games 2024 was a horrible show, but it definitely is not a show without its flaws. And we will certainly point all of those out and more. And we'll point out the good stuff as well. I definitely had some fun watching this, but there were some things during this show in Vancouver that just left me scratching my head as to why things were why certain things were going on, why certain matches had the War Game stipulation, better yet. It's a very unbalanced show, I think.
Yeah,
but
and
it's
that's
still,
my thing. I'm not going to say it was a great show. I'm not going to say it was a horrible show, but it just felt very underwhelming. There were a good portion of the show where I felt like the crowd wasn't into it. There was a lot of questionable booking decisions. There was very lackluster action in the ring. And yeah, it's basically, it boils down to you can have the fun stipulations like your War Games matches, like your Hell in a Cell matches, but Triple H is kind of booking himself into an oxymoron here, into a little bit of contradiction when we sit here and we said, why is Vince McMahon putting on a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view every October and putting people in Hell in a Cell when they shouldn't be in Hell in a Cell? Why is TLC in December? Why is Money in the Bank in July? Why is Elimination Chamber in February? Like, you're really just putting matches just for the sake of having the matches instead of like Hell in a Cell needing an actual reason for it to be in Hell in a Cell. There was a point where I thought every single match stipulation was going to get a pay-per-view. Where's, the Steel Cage pay-per-view? That would just be copying TNA. Where is the Iron Man match pay-per-view? Where is the Last Man Standing match pay-per-view? And it's like,
oh god, that pay-per-view would suck ass. The Last Man Standing match pay-per-view? No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
Bro, we had a pay-per-view that was quote unquote dedicated to submission matches. We had one that was dedicated to fatal four-way matches. And it's like, if you're an indie promotion, sure. But when you're WWE, it's like you really reverted back, from Backlash and Judgment Day and Vengeance and Bad Blood to fatal four-way and Breaking Point and
False Count Anywhere. Uh,
chairs, and there was a point where there was. I remember. I mean, I'm sorry to get on this sidebar. I'm just thinking about it. I mean, we'll get more into this when we're in the 2009 retrospective. But I remember
right.
seeing the list of new pay-per-views around that time, and there was going to be one called Annihilation, which I thought would have been awesome, but they replaced that with tables, ladders, and chairs. But
Yeah.
I think that's how War Games felt to me this year. Like I felt like they were doing War Games just for the sake of having War Games, and you actually have a lot of fans saying, "When are we going to get traditional 5-on-5 matches?" And I'm not saying,
Well,
I'm
well,
not saying don't do War Games. I'm just saying, like, I think the theme of the show is don't do War Games for the sake of War Games. Do it when it actually matters. You look back at the last two War Games pay-per-views. You see, like, the Bloodline versus Team Randy Orton. Like, oh no, I'm not sorry, Randy. We're like Kevin Owens and his squad, Drew McIntyre. Then you look at last year's with Cody Rhodes versus the Bloodline, and you see
Judgment Day.
Stories, yeah, Judgment Day. Thank you. I'm sorry.
No,
and
it's
you look
okay.
how those stories like interconnected with each other. And then you look at this show, and even though the main event made a lot of sense, when we get into this opener, you kind of wonder, why are these ladies fighting in the first place?
Yeah, so this show, and like before I let you get into that, Tomas, and open up that can of worms, because we certainly will, this show took place in Vancouver, British Columbia, the first time this city has held a pay-per-view since Rock Bottom 1998, which is nuts to me. That show took place on my second birthday in 1998, December 13th that year, and it was... Yeah, no, that show was memorable because of a Buried Alive match and a Mankind Rock match that ended in a disqualification. Vancouver hasn't had a pay-per-view since, and I've been seeing signs like everywhere saying Vancouver for WrestleMania. Every single year it feels like I'm seeing that, and I'm like, no shade on Vancouver, of course, but it's like, okay, this isn't like a well-known wrestling city. They get a chance to get one of the big four, and this crowd is just dead for the most part.
They are dead, and it's very weird because there's some matches in here where we'll get a "this is awesome" chant. And I'm just like, well, you guys are obviously enjoying the match. Why not show that a little more? The only time WWE busted out that decibel meter was for LA Knight's entrance. And I'm just sitting here going, like, you guys are no fucking Puerto Rico. You guys are no France. Like, come on. This is why we're saying the US needs to step it up, or we might lose these pay-per-views forever.
This is why, better yet, this crowd is no Toronto.
Yeah.
So, exactly. Like, the Toronto crowds are always on fire, no matter what show it is.
Paris making noise. You got Puerto Rico making noise. You got the UK making noise. Hell, you got Saudi Arabia making noise. So, we're going to lose our pay-per-view privileges if these crowds don't fucking step it up.
Yeah. Ain't that the truth?
That being said, we are going to open up this show with the Women's War Games match. You have Team Ripley, which is led by the Eradicator, Rhea Ripley, who made her return to TV a couple weeks ago, teaming with one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Bianca Belair. More on Jade Cargill in a minute. Naomi, Io Sky, and Bayley teaming up against Team Morgan, which was led by Women's World Champion Liv Morgan, WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax, Raquel Rodriguez, Miss Money in the Bank Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. So let's get this out of the way right now. Where is Jade Cargill? Jade Cargill was taken out on TV during Bianca Belair's United States Championship tournament match. She was laid out on top of a car. It's a big whodunit now, and Bayley taking her spot. It's being reported that Jade Cargill does have some nagging real-life injuries that she has to tend to. There is no timetable for her return. That makes me a little nervous because they spent the better part of the year building up Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair, and we might not have Jade Cargill for WrestleMania time. That, definitely has me a little anxious, but I hope Cargill is ready to come back sometime in the new year because she has developed a lot, and I think this story is great, and I would like to see a conclusion to this story, even though we've not really... Belair and Cargill are still the champions, so we haven't even got to the breakup yet.
No. And a lot of people are speculating that it could be Bianca herself that attacked Jade in the parking lot, which doesn't make any sense. Really does not make any sense to me. I think it's more likely that it's either Bayley or Naomi that took her out.
I mean,
like, it's
Bianca
honestly...
Belair left her championship match to go check on Jade Cargill. Why would she self-sabotage herself like that?
I think it'd be a horrible idea to turn Bianca Belair heel anyway. So that's
not right now.
Yeah, that's another story for another time. Yeah. But hoping Jade Cargill is okay. Let me just say also, Rhea Ripley making her entrance with a fucking awesome mask on her face, like because she had that busted orbital bone after Bad Blood. Man, she looked incredible. Oh my god, yeah, she goes out there. This crowd is just like, she's the face of women's wrestling right now. And I don't think anybody's coming close to her.
So my thing is, you look at this match and you think, why are these ladies fighting? And that's a very good question. I don't know why they're fighting. This is coming off Crown Jewel. And Liv Morgan and Nia Jax have this alliance now, which should not be a thing. Morgan beat Jax, embarrassed Jax at Crown Jewel to win that Crown Jewel championship. There is no reason for Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton and Candice LeRae to have Liv Morgan's back. It does not make sense whatsoever. And it just feels like heels teaming up because they're heels, going against faces who are teaming up because they're baby faces. And you know what that sounds like, Zach? A traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series match.
It does.
Remember Team Batista versus Team Orton? It was like Batista, R-Truth, Kofi Kingston,
CM Punk, and who the fuck else was on that team? I don't even remember. Matt Hardy
versus Randy Orton, MVP, Shelton Benjamin,
Cody, William Regal.
Those matches were fun, and I did like to see talent like that intermingle. But if you're going to book a War Games match with the premise being behind is like, oh, these women are going to war and they have like personal beef with each other. Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan have beef with each other. Sure, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill have beef with Nia Jax and Liv Morgan. I'm getting my names mixed up. Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. But to put them in War Games really just doesn't make any sense because you got recruiting Io Sky, who has personal issues with Bayley, and it just feels like
a
whole bunch of like, again, this would have worked better as a traditional 5-on-5.
So personal. What a difference that 8 months makes. Io Sky and Bayley were on the warpath to WrestleMania. They were in this fierce rivalry. Io Sky kicked Bayley out of her own stable in the build-up to Mania after Bayley won the Royal Rumble this year. And now they're teaming up like nothing happened.
It's never really addressed.
I
feel like it was just a last-minute substitution for Jade Cargill, and they didn't really think that one through.
No.
But with that being said, I will flat out say right now, this match sucked.
It was not good. It was not good.
Not good.
So,
for a lot of reasons.
So that was all, like, what we just talked about was my first problem. My second issue, whose fucking idea was it to have Nia Jax start this match? Like, I legit am very concerned about this. Like, we have gone on and on about how much Nia Jax has improved, how she hasn't hurt anybody. But then she goes out there and wrestles 40 minutes into the match beyond. She should not be in the ring longer than 15. She looked lost.
Now, I apologize if I'm coming off as a Nia Jax defender or like standing up for her in this case, but it wasn't just her. Almost everyone in this match was very bad. It was very botchy. It was very sloppy. And when we get to, these entrances, which believe it or not, I don't have an issue with this. I've seen a lot of people talk about, one person will come to the cage and they have to grab the weapons. Everybody has to grab the weapons. You know what?
And that's the other issue. I'm going
to defend it. You know why I'm going to defend it? How else are you going to get weapons in the match? I'm sorry. How else are you going to get weapons in the match? If you leave the cage, you surrender the match for your team.
Exactly. But think back to how WCW did War Games. Like, when people entered the cage, did you see, like, freaking Sting or Kevin Nash go in there with weapons? No. Their offense was enough firepower as it was. And WWE's version of War Games, like, albeit it can be very fun if you have the right story and the right circumstances, but what has War Games turned into? Like, the pattern is just so tedious and so repetitive. Every entrant that goes into the ring has to bring some sort of plunder.
It really didn't bother me, honestly, because I feel like the weapons add more to the match. And that's just my thing. It's like people complain about, oh, they always have to get the weapons. I'm like, how else are you going to get weapons into the match? I'm sorry. It's the only way to get weapons into the match.
Don't need weapons, honestly. I mean, like, sure, yeah, like, use a table and what have you, use steel chairs, use lead pipes, but, like, use it to further the story. Like, don't...
You know what this reminds me of? This is going to sound crazy. Remember in SmackDown Just Bring It, when you would do a hardcore gauntlet match, and or like a slobber knocker match, which is basically a gauntlet match, and every single person that ran out had to have a weapon, and they all had like their own weapons. Like Steve Blackman had the kendo stick, The Rock had a steel chair, Triple H had the sledgehammer.
I remember,
which is crazy.
Yeah, that was fun. I mean, but that's video game though. Like this is real life. You know, this is a real story.
Nia Jax started off with Bianca Belair, I think.
With Bayley.
Yeah, with Bayley.
Again, so a match we've seen multitudes of different times this year, and like the matches were decent, but it's like, give me at least someone else in there with Nia Jax to start off. Like, no offense to Bayley,
it would obviously be fun to see like Io Sky work with her.
Yeah. So
or Rhea Ripley work with her.
Just have. Yeah, it's, I don't know, man.
They wrestle for a bit. Naomi enters the match, and Naomi brings in a toilet seat, which is fucking hilarious. Also, by the way, it was Naomi's birthday, and she wore a birthday hat to the ring.
Good on Naomi, man. Good on Naomi. The crowd chanted happy birthday to her during the match while her and Bayley were double teaming Nia Jax.
They have a colorful... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, another thing is that the baby faces have the advantage in this War Games match, which automatically puts it at a disadvantage, because I've always thought that the heels having the advantage in the War Games match always meant a better story to tell. It's simpler to tell.
I totally understand. But at the same time, that's just going to make these advantage matches way predictable if you're always going to know the heel is going to win. Also, sidebar, this pissed me off. Why are Bianca Belair and Nia Jax, two SmackDown superstars, main eventing an episode of Monday Night Raw? Tell me why. Seriously. Why couldn't have that match happen on SmackDown?
They were practicing for the WWE talent exchange that's going on to the month of January, right? Ridiculous. I mean, they're testing the waters for Bianca and Nia to be on Raw, obviously.
So, also, Naomi has a very colorful kendo stick. And at this point in the match, I was like, okay, the ladies are making their entrance. I'm going to, give it the benefit of the doubt. They're trying to, it's a slow start. I'm okay with it. Like, I'm so okay with a slow build if when all 10 of the women in the ring, it becomes fantastic. But then after that, who enters the match? Is it Candice LeRae?
Candice LeRae. It's going to be Tiffy time, but Candice stops her. First of all, I'm very glad to see that Candice is getting more of a spotlight. Albeit as Nia Jax's sidekick, but you do what you can.
Her BFF Indy Hartwell got released, so they got to do something with Candice LeRae. Don't get me started how fucking annoyed I am at that. It's at this point in the match where the spots are starting to bother me. I'm seeing a little bit of sloppiness from Bianca Belair, which is like, okay, I'll forgive it. That's the thing. I can only forgive it so much before it starts becoming noticeable. I'm seeing a lot of sloppiness from her and Naomi. They're trying to pull off these spots, and it's just not working.
No.
And then this is what fucking did it for me really early into this match. So Nia Jax has a chair.
Oh, this is where the chair shot happened? Oh, man.
No, it's a lot of the chair. All these women, these chair shots were fucking horrible.
They were.
She is lightly, and I mean lightly, tapping them with the steel chair. And I'm just looking at this going, have you never fucking swung a steel chair in your entire career? Like, I know, don't fucking beat them to death with it like Steve Austin did to The Rock.
No.
WrestleMania 17, but these were like tiny itty bitty love taps. It reminded me of Hulk Hogan tapping Horace Hogan on the head with the chair in WCW. And Tony Schiavone going, what?
That's
like I was going, what?
It's almost like you're watching two little girls who grew up watching the business and they want to get involved in the business, but they are taking the don't try this at home videos a little bit too seriously and they don't actually want to hurt each other. That's what these chair shots look like. It was just awful. It was really bad.
Horrible. And then on top of all of that, Jax is awkwardly hoisting this chair over her head, and Naomi covers her head because for some reason she thinks Jax is going for a headshot, Jax goes, no, bitch, very audibly loud, and taps Naomi on the side with the chair. And I'm just like, this match had some of the most talented women's wrestlers I've ever seen. And they are all acting like day one rookies. It was embarrassing.
A really, really bad War Games match, man.
And it is crazy that the NXT women probably would have went in there and put on a banger match. Julia, Stephanie Baker, Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez,
Zarya, Lola Vice, Jada Parker. Like,
yeah,
man, dude.
A lot of talented women in NXT. And here you have the main roster women. This was fucking embarrassing. And I was still giving it the benefit of the doubt that the match would pick up steam. But the longer this match went, the sloppier it got. And it was really starting to bother me.
Yeah. So Bianca goes in there, Tiffany Stratton goes in there, and the crowd is loving Tiffy time. Of course they do. I mean, Tiffy's going to turn babyface at some point once she cashes in on Nia Jax, fucking finally. Io Sky goes in there, and she goes in there with her trash can, as she always does in these War Games matches. Io Sky, by the way, the only woman to appear in every single women's War Games match. She's like the Natalia. Natalia is the Royal Rumble what Io Sky is the War Games. That's basically what I'm saying. You know, I mean, Io Sky and Candice have a nice little sequence. Raquel Rodriguez goes in there. Really, really great to see her. What's up?
That reminds me, I want to get into a little bit of rant, not at Candice LeRae, but about Candice LeRae. It really angered me in the build up to this match that everybody was saying, oh, look at the babyface side. They're stacked. And what do you have on the heel side? Oh, Raquel Rodriguez and Candice LeRae. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. How the fuck do you expect us to take Candice LeRae seriously if the fans aren't going to take her seriously? And this isn't a jab at WWE or Candice LeRae at all. Candice LeRae is fucking awesome. And
yes.
It really angers me that people are going to look at her and go, oh, it's just Candice LeRae. You want new stars? They're featuring her in a big match like this. So if you're just going to look at her every time and say, why is Candice LeRae there? Oh, it's just Candice LeRae. Don't fucking bitch and moan when you say they don't push any new people. It's always Rhea Ripley and Bayley and Becky Lynch. Okay, well, they're trying to push somebody new and you guys are just straight up refusing her. It's so frustrating.
This sounds oddly familiar to a rant that like we got into a couple of years ago when Shotzi got a title shot against Ronda Rousey, and everybody was like, why is Shotzi getting a title shot? You can't build new stars in this women's division if you don't give people like Shotzi or Candice LeRae or Raquel Rodriguez a fucking chance.
Yeah, so I don't want to hear any fucking bitching when Charlotte Flair shows up in the Royal Rumble and she wins and she's challenging for a championship again.
No.
Because you guys won't let any new stars in if you're just going to bitch and moan about Candice LeRae and Shotzi and Raquel Rodriguez, or look at anybody that's like in these United States Intercontinental title matches. You know, people just dressing down, oh, Raw has no stars. I'm like, okay, well, you won't let Zoe Stark be a star. You won't let Lyra Valkyria be a star. You won't let Katana Chance be a star.
You won't let Shayna Baszler be a star.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sorry. I had to go into that little sidebar. It really pissed me off when people were basically saying Candice LeRae doesn't belong in this match. Bitch, Candice LeRae ate a mouthful of thumbtacks and took a super kick from the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
This is child's play to her.
Go watch PWG 10 years ago. Candice LeRae was wrestling all the dudes.
Yeah.
Candice LeRae is a tough cookie.
I'm surprised Candice LeRae can still walk after the lumbar check she's taken from Cedric Alexander.
Dude.
Fucking hell. Just so irritated.
Come on, man. But speaking of stars, out comes Rhea Ripley with her awesome-ass mask that I wish she would wear, like, more often than not, because she just looks fucking scary, as if, like, her whole aura wasn't intimidating enough. You put an Undertaker Phantom of the Opera-style mask on her face after hurting her, like, yeah, she's a badass, man.
That should be her WrestleMania entrance. Saying it now.
Yeah? A Phantom of the Opera?
City, and, you know, maybe they could put her, like, in some cool, like, Joker-esque mask. But that would be cool as fuck.
It would. Rhea's beating up everybody. She's headbutting people with the solid steel mask. And she's the only one standing when Liv Morgan has to walk out there into the match beyond. And Liv Morgan, obviously, per the storyline, is scared shitless of Rhea Ripley. She does not want anything more to do with her. And Rhea's just standing there, and she's like, "Come on in, sweetheart. It's okay."
And and then Liv Morgan, she gets up to the steps and she goes, "No, no, I'm not getting in," and she just leaves. And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" But then she came back with what?
A baseball bat.
With the baseball bat, the same bat she used to break Rhea Ripley's orbital bone. And that, I will say, the storytelling in this match was good. There were a couple of spots where I'm like, okay, I love what they're doing with the story. Liv Morgan trying to intimidate Rhea Ripley with the bat, but when she steps in the ring, Rhea Ripley takes the mask off and says, "Hit me with your best shot, bitch."
You get it? It's because Liv Morgan's Harley Quinn, right? That's why she went in there with the baseball bat.
Alexa Bliss was Harley Quinn.
Well, I mean, Alexa Bliss apparently is very close to returning, and I'm very excited to see her and what she does.
Remember when Mauro Ranallo said Alexa Bliss was like Harley Quinn, but she didn't need a squad? I miss Mauro Ranallo.
I unfortunately do. But anyway, there's a spot where you have Io Sky on the top of the cage, and she does her Oscar the Grouch thing that she does every single War Games match.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
It's cool. It's awesome. It's dangerous as fuck. And I give Io Sky all the props in the world for putting a trash can over her head and trusting the women in the match to catch her. But you think it's starting to lose its steam when she does it every year?
Maybe.
Like, we kind of expect it out of her at this point. It's not like Kofi Kingston and Naomi escaping, elimination in the Royal Rumble where they get creative every year. It's like we see Sky in a War Games. She has a trash can. We know what she's going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, no question. And sure enough, she does it.
Yeah, she does a moonsault with it, which is very impressive. On the other side of the cage, Tiffany Stratton, again, she has the prettiest moonsault ever, but she has the scariest wonton ever. She does the wonton off the cage, and again, she just falls off of it stiff as a board. Every time I'm scared. Like, are you going to complete that rotation? Please don't land on your neck. It's crazy. Like, if she knows what she's doing, that's great. She's doing a great job of fooling me. Well, she just looks so stiff doing that swanton.
She was a gymnast before she got into WWE, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's a pretty graceful move. That was not the scariest spot of the night. We'll get to that later. But after that, Tiffany Stratton then pulls out her damn Money in the Bank briefcase for another godforsaken attempted cash in or a teased cash in. I am getting so damn sick of this tease.
Like, I will say, when she pulled it out, I was getting into it because it was a little bit of excitement to the match, and I did notice she didn't come without it to the ring, so it kind of like took me off. But I will say, yeah, I will agree. When she was threatening to cash in, I liked it. But when she was looking at the champions, going, "Oh, which one do I cash in on?" Again, you're gonna cash in on Nia Jax. You have no reason to cash in on Liv Morgan. Your beef was with Nia Jax. You didn't form this alliance with her just to turn around and do it to Liv Morgan. And then again, Nia Jax sits up. "Hey, what are you doing? You said you weren't going to cash in on me." I'm like, bitch, look, you were in War Games. She has the briefcase. Yes, she's going to fucking cash in on you.
Yeah, no shit. No shit, but she didn't because this storyline...
Like big old dummy every single time.
This storyline...
How many times are you going to fall for this?
Have you ever heard of the story of the boy who cried wolf?
Yes.
So... like the guy, the little boy is like, "Oh, there's a wolf in town, there's a wolf in town." And he has to say this like 3 or 4 different times in the story. And then by that point, the townspeople are getting sick of it and they don't want to see it or hear it anymore. That by the time a wolf actually does show up, the townspeople don't fucking care. That's what this storyline is turning into. Because honestly, once Tiffany does fucking cash in this contract, yeah, I'll politely pop for it, but it's getting to the point where I'm like, okay, are you going to crown her as a champion or are you not? Because Tiffany is clearly your future. She is clearly your future star.
It's like they're purposely just stretching this out because they want Tiffany Stratton to go into WrestleMania as champion, which is fine. That's awesome. It's going to be awesome when Tiffany Stratton rolls into Vegas with the women's championship, but you don't have to do so many teases. That's my thing. Tiffany Stratton she's smart. Like, what she's doing is a smart tactic, but the less you do it, the more trust you gain from Nia Jax, the more she's going to lower her guard. So she's not going to see it coming. Like, you have a good point there. Like, the more Tiffany Stratton threatens to cash in, you think sooner or later Nia Jax is gonna fucking catch on and be like, you know what? I believed you the first time, but after the sixth time you did it, like you're trying to cash in on me.
Yeah, and then Nia Jax is going to accidentally break Tiffany Stratton's nose because Nia Jax is reckless, and it'll like put Tiffany on the shelf for a year.
No,
But
I don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah, like this
I
is
don't
the
know,
one
man.
point of the match where I was just like, okay, finally some excitement here, and then they pulled the whole bait and switch, and it's just like there were some opportunities here. Like I've seen a lot of people say they played this match safe, and I'm gonna have to agree because it could have had a cash in, you could have had a Bayley heel turn, you could have had a Bianca Belair heel turn, but none of that really happened here.
No,
And by the end of this, I am gonna say I think the wrong team went over.
the finish was pretty straightforward. In all honesty, Liv and Rhea
Cool.
are
Just nothing really special.
Liv and Rhea are on the top rope, and Liv goes for an avalanche oblivion. Rhea catches her, and she hits a super riptide off the top rope through a table, and she pins Liv, all while Raquel Rodriguez is handcuffed to the top rope, and she has to watch her. She has to watch her friend get pinned in front of her. And Rhea Ripley has once again pinned the Women's World Champion. So you would think that this would put Rhea in line for a title shot, right? No, because Io Sky is challenging Liv Morgan at Saturday night's main event, not Rhea.
Well, Io Sky did win a battle royal first, and again, they are just stretching this out close to WrestleMania as possible. I'm going to say this now: either it's not going to happen at Saturday night's main event. If it doesn't happen on the first Raw on Netflix, it has to happen the Royal Rumble, the latest.
Yeah.
Unless they want to have Rhea Ripley win the Royal Rumble again.
No.
Which they already did that, been there, done that. I kind of forgot that she won it already, so we're not going to go that route.
I remember.
I am not opposed to waiting till the Royal Rumble, but it just looks like all fingers are pointing to the first Raw on Netflix. Just crown Rhea Ripley the women's champion, and then, I think Charlotte Flair's going to SmackDown, considering Andrade is there. But, there's a plethora. With this trade window, you could have, if Jade Cargill is not going to be ready in time for WrestleMania, you could send Bianca Belair to Raw, have her feud with Rhea Ripley, because that's the big money match everyone wants to see. Charlotte Flair is an option, even though we had that already. There are options for Rhea Ripley to have a big money match at WrestleMania. So I'm not opposed to Ripley getting the pin here. Obviously, the title's going to go back on Ripley, even though Liv Morgan is doing a tremendous job as the women's world champion. I'm loving the story. It's the best story. Yeah, it's a little drawn out at times, but I'm loving the character work Liv Morgan is doing with Dominic Mysterio. They are clearly the best part of this watered down Walmart discount ass Judgment Day they have going on Raw.
We have Judgment Day at home.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm okay with the finish. It just felt they played it very safe. And I'd be okay with the safe finish if the match was good. The match was not good.
No.
It was sloppy. It was slow. Those women, again, you have Bianca Belair and Candice LeRae and Rhea Ripley, all these talented women in this match. They all look like they never fucking worked a match before.
Dude, yeah, it was embarrassing. It honestly was. Because I expected a lot better from these women. I am very curious to hear how you rated this thing. I think the best I can do for it is 2.5.
I'll match it. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, it was for War Game standards, it was not good. And I feel like I'm honestly being a little bit generous with that rating, considering how clunky the match was, with how atrocious the chair shots were, especially. Putting Nia Jax in there first and having her work the entire match was a huge mistake. But yeah.
I just feel like nobody really benefited from this match.
No.
I mean, the biggest spot involved Io Sky with the, obligatory trash can spot. And, if you want to give the nod to Tiffany Stratton, then sure, because that girl is fearless. We've seen her do some crazy shit, considering she entered the professional wrestling world, not a professional wrestler. Again, I tell the story that Tully Blanchard took her to a live event one time, and Tiffany Stratton said, I want to do this. And Tully said, no, you don't. Your heart's not in it. And I feel like that conversation really just lit a fire under Tiffany's ass.
Exactly.
And she is, taking risks and doing crazy things, doing a swanton off a ladder, doing a swanton off a cage. Like, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Tiffany Stratton.
Me
So
too.
she definitely was the MVP in this match.
She's the future, man. I mean, once she finally does cash in this briefcase, once the Wolf eventually does come to town, like, I mean, I'm hopeful that this crowd will still care. And I'm hopeful that I have every faith that they will, because the crowd loves Tiffy no matter what.
She's still very over.
But, you know, it's, again, this Money in the Bank tease is just getting to the point where I'm like, can we wrap it up? Can we get to the point? Can we get to the point here?
I just wish all the time was Tiffy time.
Oh yeah. It's just like every day is Rusev Day. I wish it was Tiffy time all the time, right?
Rusev, come back to us, please.
Oh yeah, no, I'm really hoping Rusev comes back. But up next, this is an interesting one, Tomas. The one that was added the week before the show. For the United States Championship, LA Knight, is defending against Shinsuke Nakamura. Yes, a Shinsuke Nakamura we haven't talked about since February, I want to say.
He has not wrestled a match on TV since April.
And
he was drafted to SmackDown, and you couldn't tell because Nakamura hadn't shown up once. And the months went by, and I go, didn't Nakamura get drafted to SmackDown?
If you thought this anime manga villain Nakamura was a fun character, we have like samurai version of Nakamura now, and
it really jacked it up to 11.
Man, and it's almost like, I don't want to say this character is a step out of Nakamura's comfort zone, but if you remember him in New Japan, like it's going to be a weird comparison, but he was almost like the Michael Jackson of Japanese wrestling with how he presented himself, like totally with how extravagant and charismatic he was, and how much these people loved him, and now he's just ice cold and just like dead set. His eyes are just so focused. The face paint is there. Like, how we got here was LA Knight was holding a United States Open Challenge on SmackDown, John Cena style, and he wrestled a couple people. He wrestled Humberto, and then he defeated Andrade. He defeated Santos Escobar, and after he defeated Escobar, Nakamura just came out of nowhere. Donning the very dark face paint. He knocked out LA Knight with the Kinshasa. And when I saw that, I was like, Nakamura is back. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of went, so what? Okay, they're bringing him back to TV. They're putting him in this title program. It just felt like he was going to be fodder to LA Knight. And then I tuned into the SmackDown before Survivor Series, and then his new entrance debuted. And I was like, holy shit, this is cool. And he beat Andrade clean. And I'm like, okay, I'm paying attention. You have my attention. I don't really see what's going to come out of this. And Shinsuke Nakamura is very much in a place in his career where he's happy where he is in WWE. He doesn't really want to go back to Japan on a full-time schedule because that was such a physical toll on his body. He likes his easy schedule here. He loves being in WWE. So I was just like, okay, he's okay with putting people over. But it's still kind of, I don't want to say sad, but just a little daunting that, Shinsuke Nakamura was the biggest star in Japan in 2015, 2014. And now he's doing jobs in WWE. And not to get too much on a sidebar, but I did read a story recently that I'm not going to lie, I refuse to believe. They said that, Shinsuke Nakamura, when he botched that move on John Cena in 2017, Vince McMahon was furious and he made him into a jobber. You know why I refuse to believe that story? No. Because right after the match, Nakamura apologized to Cena, and Cena said, "It's cool, man. It happens." So I am pretty damn sure if Vince tried to punish Nakamura, Cena would have been the first one to step in and like, no. It was an accident. And better yet, to that point, if Vince actually wanted to make Shinsuke a jobber after that night, he would not have booked Shinsuke to win the 2018 Royal Rumble. I'm just pointing that out. Let's not forget all that Shinsuke has accomplished in his time in WWE, like as it is. But yeah, this guy goes in there, and I saw a side by side of him in his entrance in Survivor Series next to Big Van Vader, the late Big Van Vader with his big mask. Vader was also a huge Japanese star in the early 90s. Mastodon. Yes, the Mastodon. It's just really damn cool. And honestly, seeing this presentation and him beating Andrade in a banger match on SmackDown, you absolutely could not have Shinsuke lose here. Like, because if
And
yeah,
on top of all of that, he dominated the build. Every single time
yes.
him and LA Knight got into a physical confrontation, Nakamura got the upper hand. He
Well,
sprayed the black mist in his face on Friday. The week before, he snuck up on Every time LA Knight thought he got a surprise attack on Nakamura, no, Nakamura was ready for him.
and
And he laid him out every time.
LA Knight was so off his rocker in character too. Like, he was really good in this match, and the match was really solid in itself. But the whole story was that LA Knight was kind of shaken by the mind games that Shinsuke was playing on him, and the intimidation factor was there, and LA Knight didn't exactly know what to think of him. Which
Also,
is
real quick, back to Nakamura's entrance.
yeah,
Love his new theme song.
yeah.
Love the presentation. Love how Nakamura just walked out there. And I love the camera shot. It was just this very wide shot, really pulled back from the entrance ramp. And, you got anxiety watching this. You just saw this mystical figure in the background just walking towards you. And when he finally took off the mask, it's like, you said it better than I ever could. He's an ice cold killer.
He's an ice cold samurai. You know, he will slice and dice you with everything he's got. And his remixed theme song as well, that we all know and love in samurai form almost. It's fantastic. And
I love it.
The presentation here, his new character, his reemergence, there was no way he would lose this match. Like, surely. I didn't think they would pull the trigger on him, though. I really did not think they would. But sure enough, this match was exactly what it needed to be. And it felt like, I mean, in a vacuum, it felt like a TV match, like an average TV match. It wasn't really anything like to light the world on fire.
Because I'm going to say this about the match. They're both great wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
LA Knight isn't perfect. He could be a lot smoother. He's a little too botchy at times, but he's still able to pull off amazing feats of athleticism for a man his age. And he's in phenomenal shape. So let me get that out of the way right now. Shinsuke Nakamura, I feel like throughout his entire tenure in WWE, his style doesn't necessarily mesh with everybody. Like, I've seen him have good matches with Seth Rollins and AJ Styles and, people like that. But, look at his debut pay-per-view match against Dolph Ziggler. Not the greatest match in the world. You look at other matches he's had with, like, Jinder Mahal and, like, what's another good example?
Forgot about those.
Like his early run in WWE.
Baron Corbin.
Baron Corbin. His style doesn't mesh with everyone. It's very slow-paced, methodical, very jiu-jitsu based. Mm-hmm. And when you're trying to bait, it's perfect for Japan, don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying Shinsuke Nakamura can't wrestle. It's just he has a special style that, like, you have to connect with the right wrestler, or it's just, it's a little disjointed at times.
You have to.
Match, I feel like.
Yeah. I was just going to say, you have to connect with the right wrestler, like a Sami Zayn.
Yes.
His emerging match in TakeOver Dallas is one that I'll never forget against Sami Zayn. And I'm not saying that LA Knight couldn't, like, hold a candle to Nakamura's in-ring style, because they're both really good on their own.
He's like a foreign dish. It doesn't pair with everything. Like, you wouldn't eat pepperoni pizza with French fries. You wouldn't eat a burger with, a side of vegetables.
You wouldn't eat a burger with a side of rice.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's like Shinsuke Nakamura is a special dish, and you have to pair him with the sides, like, perfectly in order for like, it's going to taste good on its own, but together it's not exactly going to mesh well.
That's a really good analogy.
Yeah, I kind of just came out with that off the top of my head. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a pretty convincing win for Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, LA Knight doesn't hit his finishing maneuvers. The crowd is getting into LA Knight, obviously. I mean, he's obviously going to be over. Yeah.
Oh, the finish was actually very creative, too. LA Knight near the end of the match does hit, like, his springboard Macho Man elbow drop, which is really good. So they fight. So, there's 2 rings in War Games, and I do like how they keep the matches confined to 1 ring. They were in the left ring, and they kind of started making their way to the second ring. In between, the rings are connected by a steel plate. Nakamura hits a devastating reverse DDT on that steel plate. And that was enough. It was the setup, basically, for the finish, where Nakamura just simply hits the Kinshasa, gets the cover. 1, 2, 3. Nakamura is your new United States champion, and I couldn't be happier. I was
Me
actually a little
neither.
shocked. It wasn't until the day of the pay-per-view that I was like, no, Nakamura's got to win. Because if Nakamura didn't win, what was the point of bringing him back to TV? What was the point for
Exactly.
this gimmick change? It's so drastic. Like you can talk about last year when he was feuding with Rollins and Cody. And, it was the beginning of the shift of the character change. They were doing, the subtitled promos, which are perfect for Nakamura. But, they weren't, he was main eventing pay-per-view, sure. He was main eventing Monday Night Raw, sure. But nothing was really happening. But this was a step further. You
Yeah.
changed the theme song, you changed his attire, everything. And if he would have fallen to LA Knight here, what was the point of bringing him back?
No point. And I know what some of you guys are saying. I need to make a few points. Number one, Shinsuke Nakamura has won the United States Championship for the third time in his career. And the United States title, when he first won it from Jeff Hardy in 2018, it wasn't as prestigious or as valued as it was with Vince McMahon. Well, here, let me start over. Vince McMahon did not value that title as much as Triple H does. Let me just put it that way.
It felt like a consolation prize.
Mm-hmm.
Felt like Nakamura, we didn't
Nakamura,
put the title on you, so
yeah.
the United States title, have fun.
You didn't beat AJ Styles after 3 tries for the WWE Championship, so here, why don't you take the U.S. title from Jeff Hardy and have fun with it? And he held that title for 6 months.
Not because he was defending on every pay-per-view, it was just on him.
Yep.
Go have fun defending against R-Truth and feuding, losing to R-Truth by accident. That was crazy. Nakamura dropped the title to R-Truth by fucking accident.
God, 2018 WWE. But anyway, so Nakamura has this title now. And Tomas, would you look at that? LA Knight only loses the title after 3 months. Yeah. So that only goes to show you. It only goes to show you that the length of the title reign does not matter so long as what you do in that reign is far and beyond what you can do.
Also, I was hearing stuff that really rubbed me the wrong way. People were saying don't get all excited. Nakamura's not going to get a push. This doesn't matter at the end of the day. I'm just like, can you let us fucking be happy for the guy?
Yeah. I mean, look at
the end of the day, it's still a mid-card title, and Nakamura really hasn't broken out of the mid-card since winning the Royal Rumble. But God, for the love of fuck, can we be happy for this guy?
But look at all the guys that Nakamura can wrestle for this title now. Andrade is still in the U.S. title scene. Carmelo Hayes, I think, could be a really good opponent for him. I mean, granted, Shinsuke's a heel, and you got more heels in this mid-card on SmackDown than you do baby faces, but I think...
Not to jump the gun or anything, but look at this past Friday on SmackDown. The Bloodline got involved in this segment. I personally would fucking love to see Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jacob Fatu.
Don't tempt me with a good time. And I know what some of you are thinking. LA Knight gets pinned convincingly. You're burying him. LA Knight's going to be just fucking fine. Honestly, when Gunther lost the Intercontinental title to Sami Zayn, I was like, that opens up a whole new realm and a whole new door for Gunther to step into the main event, and look where he is now. I think LA Knight losing this title is the first step to actually propelling him towards the WWE Championship or contending for it again.
Yeah, exactly. And look at it this way. So, okay, you're mad that LA Knight lost the title. So you're telling me you don't want to see him go into the Royal Rumble and possibly win? Because now that he's not United States champion, that is 100% a possibility now. You're telling me you don't want to see him feud with Cody Rhodes down the line? I would love to see that. Those would be some banger promos. I would love to see LA Knight go in there and roast Cody alive on the mic. Yeah.
No pun intended, but yeah. Yeah, LA Knight, turn him heel and go up against Cody Rhodes. I don't know. Have fun with it. But this match, I'm going to go 3 stars on it. It was pretty decent, average TV match, I would say, a little bit above average TV match, but it was exactly what it needed to be.
Yeah, it didn't light the world on fire or anything, and people even could question, why was this on pay-per-view? But it got the job done, and I'm happy that Nakamura is finally back in the scene in a very prominent role, because you see SmackDown this past Friday, he's not going to be a United States champion that's off of TV for 3 weeks and then just defends the title against someone randomly. No, again, Triple H, not perfect. He's not perfect. We just went into that whole women's War Games match and how that was a clusterfuck. Triple H, for the most part, knows what he's fucking doing. He did not bring Nakamura back if you didn't have a fucking plan for him.
No, absolutely not. So I'm excited to see what Shinsuke does. And the other thing is, like, Shinsuke winning this title. One last thing before we move on. I know a lot of people are worried that Shinsuke is just going to be stuck in the mid card here. And exactly to your point, Hunter is a huge Shinsuke Nakamura fan, way more than Vince McMahon ever was. So I'm not concerned about his status at all. So let's just leave it at that.
Before we get into the next match, we had.
Damn it!
I don't want to bring up this segment just to bring. I don't want to dissect this segment. I don't give a fuck about the segment. I just want to bring up a point about this next segment. We talked about on the Full Gear review how the pacing for AEW pay-per-views is what really kills it for the crowd. You have match after match after match after match after match. Yes, you could say these WWE sponsorship, segments are cringe. They're stupid. You don't want to watch them. You know what? That's why they're there. WWE gets all the ad revenue, and you know what you can do during this time? If you're at home watching the show, go grab a snack, go take a piss, scroll your Twitter feed, mute the TV and talk to your friends. That's why they're there. It's so you can breathe. You're in attendance, go to the bathroom, go grab some popcorn, go grab some merch. You don't want to miss any of the action? Here's your time not to do so. You know what the point of an intermission at a musical is? It's for you to go to the bathroom.
Take a break.
It's for you to go outside and breathe.
And for the actors to take a break, because we know how taxing that is.
Yeah, so yes, these segments are stupid. Yes, they're cringe. Yes, we don't want them there. I think that's the point. It's WWE benefiting from the ad revenue, and it's for you to take a breath.
Yeah, because this next match was fucking awesome. This next match.
The Intercontinental Championship and the United States Championship defended on pay-per-view.
Wow, what a concept. Mid-card titles getting proper treatment, right?
Yep, the Celtic Warrior Sheamus and Ludwig Kaiser representing Imperium challenged Bron Breakker in a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship.
This match ruled. This match ruled.
Believe it or not, started on WWE Speed of all things. Bron Breakker and Sheamus competed in a 3-minute match on Speed. Of course, it went to a draw because you can't give these guys 3 minutes. They want to beat the shit out of each other. So Sheamus backstage on Raw was crazily enough. Oh, no. Bron Breakker was backstage crazily enough saying he wanted to add the Speed Championship to his resume, which why would you want that? That's like adding the 24/7 title to your resume. But Sheamus steps in and says, like, it's a shame. It's a shame that our match went to a draw. I wanted to, fight you some more. And you have the one championship that's been eluding me my entire career. So let's fight for the Intercontinental Championship. Bron Breakker calls Sheamus an old man and says he can't keep up with him. And Sheamus, with probably one of the best burns in his career, says, I've been here for 15 years, and I've done more in those 15 years than you've done in your time here in WWE, or something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
Wow, I kind of like messed the delivery to that. But Sheamus, kind of fired back there against Bron Breakker, which was great. They had their championship match on Raw. But then I will admit this is one thing about Raw that's bugging me. The disqualification finishes. It's still a lazy way out. And this match goes to DQ because Ludwig Kaiser steps in. He wants to prove himself to Gunther. And why not doing that by taking out two of the biggest dogs in the game? It's crazy that Kaiser was able to take these two guys out by himself.
Yeah, it really is, man. It really is. The only thing missing from him is a set of brass knuckles down his trunks, right?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Looking at him and how Ludwig Kaiser just presents himself, how he walks, how he talks, how his facial expressions are, he really is a William Regal for the new generation in a good way. Because he is something else, man.
Yeah,
he is something else.
It's crazy that when Ludwig Kaiser was in his first run before they reformed Imperium, I was looking at him and just going like, you know what? This guy could be a single star. And it looks like you're taking a chance on him, which is great.
I remember my 2018 self would be so ashamed because I remember seeing Ludwig Kaiser in a NXT house show wrestling EC3. And I was chanting, "Let's go Jobber" at him. Like,
If only we would have known 6 years later.
If only I would have known.
Tell of all things.
If only I would have known, man. I will hold my hand up and admit when I'm wrong. But to your point, also, the story is mainly Bron Breakker versus Sheamus. Bron Breakker cut an amazing promo in the build-up to this, and he's calling Sheamus, he's calling him, grandpa. He's calling him, go back to the retirement home, old man. It is very clear that Bron Breakker is a Steiner, just in how he conducts himself and how he talks, you just can't help but see the resemblance. He is clearly his uncle's nephew. He is clearly his father's son.
It's the story that we've been telling for 2 years now. Sheamus has not won the Intercontinental Championship. It's the one title that's eluded him his entire career. And if you would have said this in 2014, 2015, I would have said, so fucking what? Sheamus doesn't need the Intercontinental title. But now you see Gunther's 666-day reign. You see Sami Zayn in the valiant babyface effort to defend that championship. You see the absolute fucking tear Bron Breakker has been as champion. And yeah, that's a title that Sheamus needs to wear around his waist because Sheamus is the workhorse in WWE. We've said it once on this podcast and we'll say it again. Banger after banger after banger. It's not just a catchphrase you put on a t-shirt. Sheamus delivers every single time he's in the ring.
Yep. He's been one of the most consistent hands in WWE for the better part of 15 years now.
And if you would have told me that in 2010, I would have said, this fucking jabroni? No, absolutely not.
And now here we are. Here we are. We can't wait for Sheamus to win the IC title, and we can't wait for Sheamus to go into the Hall of Fame.
And Sheamus is in my top 10 now. He's fucking awesome.
He is. He really is. But this match was awesome. It really was. These guys kicked the ever-loving crap out of each other. They got, how long did they get? They got 15 minutes to just go out there and have a fast-paced, old-school style Intercontinental title match. These guys, like I said, they were just they were clattering each other all over the Vancouver, whatever the fuck it's called, the Rogers Center. The shillelagh was used at one point. Sheamus...
I think my favorite spot in the match was Sheamus got clotheslined over the barricade and Kaiser is working on Breakker. And then Kaiser is celebrating, getting over Breakker. And then you see the great white shark that he is emerging out of the water. He just rises up right behind Kaiser and then he grabs him and delivers 10 beats of the Baldwin over the barricade. It was such a good shot.
Do you remember when Sheamus's nickname was the Great White?
He still is the Great White.
Debatable. But yeah.
When he was introduced as the Great White Sheamus. That's fucked up, man. It's not his fault he's so pale.
It's not his fault he's so pasty, man. Get a grip. Sheamus hits the razor's edge on Bron Breakker for a really nice near fall.
Celtic
I called it what I did. Bron Breakker then his awesome Frankensteiner that he does with the greatest of ease. And
let me talk about this too.
Man,
Bron Breakker is a fucking freak.
Yeah,
he's Freakzilla Jr. And let me tell you why. WWE is not exaggerating. It's not just a funny statistic to make Breakker look good. Breakker actually does fucking run as fast as he can. Because I see that guy bounce off the ropes and the way he just crisscrosses his opponents and then nails them with the clothesline, it's scary.
Freaking nature, man.
Breakker can run 25 miles an hour. Let me put this down to you. Let me break it down if you just happen to stumble across this podcast and you're not a wrestling fan. That means if you were going down a residential street and you're going 25 miles an hour, Bron Breakker's able to keep up with your car.
Yeah. The guy's a specimen, to say the very least. He's a
good wrestler.
He really is.
Breakker is a great wrestler. I've been a Bron Breakker mark since day one. You can quote me on that.
I know. That's what Tomas's name is in our group chat. He's the Bron Breakker mark.
He is.
But anyway, Sheamus then hits Bron Breakker with a brogue kick. And it is a very, very close near fall because Ludwig Kaiser pulls the referee out of the ring before the 3 count can be made. Bron Breakker was not going to kick out of that brogue kick, and Sheamus would have become a Grand Slam champion right there, if not for Ludwig Kaiser.
Why I loved Kaiser's role in this match, because his role was the disruptor. He was the only thing, and it just fits so well with the story because we want to see Sheamus win the Intercontinental title. do think he's going to win the Intercontinental title. I just don't think this should be the stage for him to do it.
Mm-mm.
And yeah, just having Kaiser there to be that great disruptor just worked so well. And Braun Breaker needs to be a monster. He's like Brock Lesnar Jr. And you need to just keep running with him. He needs to be one of the most dominant Intercontinental champions in history. And considering he already dropped the title once to give Jey Uso his big moment, this wasn't the time. I don't want to see Breaker with like 5-6 week title reigns. Like, yes, I know I'm a mark for long title runs and you can't always have those, but I think Breaker is one of those guys. He just has to have a solid 6-7 month reign. And I still think if it's not Sheamus, like Ilya Dragunov. I know Dragunov is off right now, and I think Dragunov would have been in this position if he was healthy right now. So if it's not Sheamus, Ilya Dragunov.
Totally.
Someone needs to slay the beast that is Braun Breaker. And we all know Dragunov is the slayer himself. Just go back and watch those Gunther matches. Best fucking matches of the pandemic era.
Don't remind me of those, man. I want to go back and rewatch them, but I can't right now, obviously. But yeah. So Ludwig Kaiser goes in there, nailing Sheamus with the shillelagh over and over again, and he hits a rolling senton. And Ludwig Kaiser's just like, he's screaming at the top of his lungs, like he's so close. He hits Sheamus with a rolling senton. Boom! Braun Breaker comes in and hits a spear unlike any spear I've ever seen. Like
spear in the business.
Like if Ludwig Kaiser's shoes were untied, I'm pretty sure that spear would have knocked him out of his boots. Like Braun Breaker speared him so hard, man. And then Braun Breaker pulls the straps down if they weren't already, gives Sheamus one more big spear, and retains the title after a 3 count. This match ruled. I'm giving it 4 stars. Absolutely loved it. One of the top matches on the show. It's a true reminder and a true testament to what the Intercontinental title should mean. It's the workhorse title. So, loved it.
It really was. I'm going to go 3 3/4 stars. I think what would have bumped it up to that 4 for me, if there was a little more 3-way action. I've said it before that there's 2 types of triple threat matches. There's the ones where all 3 guys are involved at all times, and you have those crazy 3-way spots that can make the match a lot more fun and unpredictable. This one felt more like one of those, it was 2 one-on-one matches. And the bulk of the match was Sheamus and Breaker, with Kaiser as that ultimate disruptor, and I think he played his role perfectly fine. It was a really fun match, and
loved it.
Like it was super fun, super solid. I'll go 3 3/4 stars.
Loved it, man. It's second best match on the show for me. It was absolute delight. This next match, on the other hand, I've thought about it for a little bit, and I don't think I liked it as much as I did in the moment. For the World Heavyweight Championship, it is Gunther defending against Damian Priest in a rematch from SummerSlam, this time with the roles reversed. Gunther is the champion this time, Damian Priest is the challenger, and I believe this is the first time, an odd statistic, that the same match has... so the same match that was a world title match at SummerSlam is the same exact match that we get at Survivor Series. I think that's the first time that's ever happened in WWE history.
The closest I can think of off the top of my head would be the fact that the SummerSlam WWE title match was CM Punk, John Cena, and Big Show. And then the main event at Survivor Series was the same match to swap out Big Show for Ryback.
Yeah.
I mean, closest thing I can think of.
I don't know if that counts though, because Ryback and Big Show are not the same person, obviously.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
It's the same exact match.
It's the closest thing I can think of.
Oh man, this one, I mean, like the big part of the build here was Gunther was kind of having doubts about himself and his ability to actually retain these titles and successfully go in there and defend the title on his own will, because he lost to Cody just barely at Crown Jewel and he's having those self-doubts about himself. Damian Priest is going in there saying that he's he's a more prepared man for Gunther.
A lot of confidence, considering he knocked off Finn Balor at Bad Blood.
Mm-hmm. All rise for the rock star. All rise for the punishment.
So basically, every Monday on Raw leading up to this, Damian Priest has gotten the better of Gunther, whether it's in the ring, and then my favorite part of the bill was backstage. Gunther is having an interview, and he goes, you know what? I'm going to go take care of Damian Priest right now. He walks up to Damian Priest, who's signing some autographs. He attacks Priest, and then Priest just gets the better of him and beats the shit out of Gunther. And it's like, wow, that backfired on you so quickly, Gunther. It really did. And it's funny, Priest is just standing over Gunther's body, and Adam Pearce runs up and said, "What happened here?" And Priest goes like, "Oh, well, got to take care of some business." And he just steps over Gunther's body. The disrespect. And then the go home show to Raw, Gunther tries to get the better of Priest again, just to take a south side of heaven through the announce table. And Gunther is really going into this match for the first time behind the 8 ball. It was probably the most like cornered Gunther has ever felt. Even though the build was pretty good, this match just felt so sleepy. It was so sluggish. And I love both of these guys. We saw them have a banger match at SummerSlam. And I love these big Hoss matches. And we know Gunther's my favorite wrestler on Raw right now. Maybe in the entirety of WWE. It really hates to say me. This is probably the weakest match he's had.
Yeah.
Something was up with this match. Like, they weren't hitting as hard. I mean, they were hitting hard, but like, nothing was really connecting. The crowd really wasn't into it. And we all know Gunther is, when he's not hitting the big strikes, it's all ground and pound. It's, rest holds and submission holds, which is totally fine for his style. I'm not saying Gunther's style is boring or anything, but I don't know. On this night, nothing was really connecting.
I've thought about it, and the match is definitely, even after the first watch, definitely not as good as the SummerSlam match. But this one, even though I thought the storyline was solid, it felt like it was missing something. And I know we've said that Gunther is allergic to having bad matches, and we're not saying that this is a bad match at all. I thought it was a very solidly wrestled match. But something just felt a bit off. The story
is not allergic to having bad matches, but you know what? Sometimes we all catch a cold. It's flu season. This night, Gunther caught the flu.
I wouldn't say he caught the flu. Again, I don't think this match was horrible. I thought it was still very solid. I liked the story that they were telling surrounding Damian Priest's arm and his shoulder. I wonder if Damian Priest learned a thing or two from, like, selling a dislocated shoulder. Because there was a point where the referee had to stop the match and check on Damian, and he was like, "It's out. It's out, man." But he still kept working the match and what have you, and I believe he still hit like a razor's edge at some point. But
I mean, he's not slamming his shoulder into the barricade, Rhea Ripley style. Which to this day, I don't know if that was a shoot or a work, because people were losing their goddamn minds over it.
I don't know, man.
Considering the reaction, I'm going to say Ripley really did pop her shoulder out of a socket, and she slammed it into the barricade and popped it back in.
That's why
all I have to say is, Rhea Ripley, will you marry me? I'm just kidding. I know you're married to Buddy Murphy. And you know what? Buddy Murphy can never be featured on AEW again, and he'll still be the luckiest man in the world.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Buddy Matthews could never win the world championship, and he'll still be the luckiest man in the world.
Yeah, but a lot of good, razor's edge for 2 count. I mean, a lot of submission holds in this. Priest ended up going for a triangle choke. Gunther, it took him a long time for him to hit one of his patented chops. Damian Priest went for the South of Heaven chokeslam, and Gunther slips out of it, and that's the first chop of the match. Gunther locked in a Kimura lock, too, which I'm like, is that, some people, like, who are looking at an Easter egg style were like, Kimura lock? Are we getting Gunther versus Brock Lesnar? No, I don't think we are. Brock Lesnar, like, I don't want to say Brock is done, but it's...
I'll say this match. Brock Lesnar will be back. But he's not coming back in the way you guys think he is. Because, they're getting comfortable mentioning his name on TV again. The slight nods, maybe, but I'm not going to, I'm with you. He's not coming back in a big way right now. The longer Brock Lesnar is away from WWE, the better.
Yeah. So... yeah, it's been like over a year since we last saw him. I think it's SummerSlam when he put over Cody, I want to say.
And then shook his hand off script.
Yeah.
Went off the script and shook his hand. And,
beautiful.
Talking more about this match, I still didn't love it. But at the same time, I did still appreciate the story of, Damian Priest had Gunther off his game. He really had him off his game in this match.
Yeah.
And Gunther did feel desperate at times to try to do whatever it took to take Damian Priest down. With that being said, though, still wasn't a huge fan of the finish.
Nah, there was a superplex spot. Priest goes out to the floor, like I said, and he's telling the ref, give me a second, while he's holding onto his shoulder. The referee is holding Gunther back. Out of nowhere comes Finn Balor coup de grace to Damian Priest's shoulder area, and I'm like, fuck me, man. I thought we were done with this feud. Priest pinned Balor convincingly at Bad Blood. Like, I have no desire to see this feud continue. Like, Priest...
I had the same reaction. I threw my hands up and I go, are you fucking kidding me again? It was great at SummerSlam because that was the implosion of Judgment Day. And the way Finn Balor interfered in that match, it was so subtly done. It was so impactfully done. You remember during that podcast, my reaction to Finn Balor interfering at SummerSlam was, you son of a bitch. And my reaction to him interfering at Survivor Series was just, are you fucking kidding me? Really going back to this?
And it's literally the same exact finish as SummerSlam. Gunther is livid by Finn Balor's interference because Gunther has respect for the art of pro wrestling and he wants to win fair and square as a heel.
And he had to prove it to himself that he could beat Damian Priest.
Yeah.
And that just fucked everything up. And that's why he kicked Finn Balor square in the jaw. Was like, you motherfucker, you fucked up everything. Like, yeah. I'm still take the win, but this is not how I wanted to win the title.
Yeah, Gunther then cinches in a sleeper hold on Damian Priest, who passes out. Gunther retains the championship, and Gunther is actually moving on to a world title feud with Finn Balor at Saturday Night's Main Event this Saturday.
So there's a couple of things I want to point out about that. Number one, Finn Balor versus Gunther, a.k.a. the match we never got.
Correct.
Because in 2020... they were supposed to face off for the NXT UK Championship at the takeover or Tampa Bay, and the match never happened.
Nope.
COVID hit. Gunther got stuck in the UK. Finn Balor was still on NXT, and they never went back to that match. And I was devastated. It was a match I wanted to see, and it's awesome to see 4 years later they're circling back to it. And on top of that, is it just me? But with this little slump that Gunther's in, and considering what happened on Monday Night Raw, are we possibly gearing towards a Gunther babyface turn?
I don't know, man. I really don't know. Just because, I mean, if my WrestleMania predictions are right and it is Gunther versus John Cena, like, that's a match where I feel like Cena would put Gunther over huge as a new top baby face. Or, maybe Cena wins his 17th world title at WrestleMania. Who knows?
It's just the way Gunther has been presented on television lately. Like, you may be garnering some sympathy for him because Gunther, you said he's a special type of heel.
Yeah.
He really brings in the personal burns to his opponent, and he is a son of a bitch at the end of the day. But he doesn't rely on interference. He doesn't rely on low blows or sticking his thumbs into people's eyes or hitting people with weapons. He's just a damn good wrestler. And you see him rejecting the interference from Finn Balor, him giving respect to his opponents like Damian Priest and like Cody Rhodes. And then you go on Raw, and Gunther faces off against Dominic Mysterio. And after the match, Balor gets the upper hand on Gunther. And when Balor is demanding the world title match, Adam Pearce says, Gunther wants the match just as much as you do. It just felt very babyface-esque, and I'm kind of all for it.
I mean, Gunther has been an effective babyface in the past. I remember Imperium going up against the Undisputed Era before the pandemic as well. And I remember the fans loving Imperium. And Gunther was a very solid babyface in his own right, but... I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, it's really refreshing to see this like new take on a top heel that I'm like, if you turn him babyface, it's like all the interest. Not to say the interest, but I honestly feel like the mystique of what makes Gunther so unique as a top heel is gone once you turn him babyface. But
I definitely see what you mean. I do think eventually Gunther is going to be a babyface, and maybe right now it's a little too soon. But I do like the idea of Gunther playing the babyface in this feud, because this is going to be a short one. Saturday Night's Main Event, as of this recording, is in less than a week away. So I definitely think going into this match, Gunther is going to play the babyface. And by all means, Damian Priest needs to cost Balor this match. And
no question.
Their fucking blow off.
Yeah, but, whether it be at the Royal Rumble, whether it be at, I don't know if we can.
Netflix. No, do not push this into the Royal Rumble. This is a first Raw on Netflix. Have them fight in a steel cage. have them do a street fight, fucking end this feud once and for all.
False count anywhere.
Priest is going to win, and it's going to make Balor even more of a dork than he already is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love Finn Balor to death, but God, they don't know how to book him. He's been on the main roster for what, 9 years now? And they don't know how to fucking book him.
I really hope that this renewed singles push for Finn Balor in 2025, who's become a locker room leader recently, is true. But I'll believe it when I see it. I will believe it when I see it.
Finn Balor, he just signed a brand new deal with WWE last year.
Yes, he did.
Idiot. He did not put pen to paper without going, okay, Hunter, like, I've been here for a while. Haven't really gone my way. Like, do you have plans for me? Because, again, this was before the writing was even on the wall. Finn Balor, I'm sure, easily and probably did say, Hunter, do something with me or I'm jumping ship to AEW. I have a ton of friends there, and Tony Khan will probably put the world title on me. So let's do business, Hunter.
Yeah, but Finn Balor, I mean, you wouldn't have wanted to see Finn Balor in AEW, be honest. Tony Khan,
I wouldn't have. I'm just saying.
Tony Khan. No, here's what would have happened. Finn Balor would have jumped ship. He would have gotten a world title shot against Jon Moxley, and then he would have been relegated to Collision after losing to him on like the Dynamite 6th anniversary extravaganza or whatever the fuck they want to do. But
I wouldn't go that far with Balor. I'll say they'll do this with him. He comes into the company, he gets a world title shot, and then he builds his own bullshit dollar store Bullet Club, and then he's relegated to being the Bullet Club guy for the rest of his career.
Yeah.
Jay White.
I'm gonna go
3 stars. I was gonna be a lot harsher. I was gonna go 2 3/4, but I do still appreciate the work these guys put into this match, and the storytelling was pretty solid. This match didn't hit for me like SummerSlam did. So the most I can do is 3. And let me tell you, that is the lowest I've ever rated a Gunther match. And I hope this is the lowest we ever go. Because like I said, Gunther had hay fever.
3.5. 3.5.
That's fair.
You know, I at least appreciated the storytelling in the match because, again, not as good as a SummerSlam match. It's a star below what I rated their SummerSlam match, just because this was literally the exact same fucking finish. But yeah, I mean, up to this point, this pay-per-view, aside from the IC title match, has been kind of. It's been kind of mediocre, wouldn't you say? Right. We kind of need a main event. We kind of need a main event to spice it up. You kind of need war games in bloody war games
of that triple threat match for a good part of it. I just felt like this show never really lifted off. Like, sure, you can have a weak opener and still recover, but this show never really felt like it got out of first gear.
Yeah.
And also, just a little sidebar, like, you know, me and Zach, we're here just to talk about professional wrestling. These are our personal opinions. By all means, if you loved a match, fucking go for it. If you thought this match was 5 stars, then you thought this match was 5 stars. If you disagree with us. Actually, tell us in the comments why you disagree with us.
Exactly.
We're just here to wrestling and have a fun time. We are never here to start fights. We are never going to say, I will never sit here and say, Zach, you're a fucking dumbass for loving that match. You like that match? By all means, love that match. But Zach, you're a dumbass for not liking last man standing matches.
I mean, I'll take it mainly as a term of endearment, though. But anyway,
exactly. So, with that being said, I feel like with how lackluster this show has felt, I needed this main event. I needed this main event to deliver, and for the most part, it did.
Yeah.
It is the men's War Games match, and oh boy, this one is a doozy. You have the new Bloodline, led by Solo Sikoa, the Tongans, Tama Tonga, and Tongaloa, with the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu, and Big Bronson Reed, taking on the original Bloodline, which is the OTC Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, Yeet, the honorary Us, Sami Zayn, and CM Punk.
Jesus, man. So, first question is, I didn't know that Bronson Reed and CM Punk were like 0.25% Samoan, which warranted them being in this match.
Oh, yeah. Because Sami Zayn, he's down since day one, Us. You've seen those family pictures. He's been hanging with Jimmy and Jay since they were teenagers.
No, Sammy's like 50% Samoan at this point. Like
he's 50% Syrian, 50% Canadian, 50% Samoan.
Yes.
I don't know how percentages work, but I'm pretty sure that's how it goes.
Yeah. No, we don't know how math works, clearly. But I know what you're thinking. Like, this should have been 4-on-4. It should have just been the Bloodline Civil War. And then they went and added Big Bronson Reed to the new Bloodline team. And I was like, okay, if it has to be 5 against 5, like, it seems like the predictable route to have Seth Rollins on the OG Bloodline team. But Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, especially after Seth broke up the Shield back in 2014, they should never be on the same team ever again. Never. Never.
Seth Rollins was recruited by Sami Zayn on an episode of Raw, and Rollins said, by under no circumstances whatsoever will I team with that egomaniacal tyrant Roman Reigns, and just walked away. And, you know, considering the Bloodline cost Seth Rollins his match with Big Bronson Reed in the main event, you would have thought, oh, Rollins is going to turn around. He's going to want his revenge. But not even that.
No.
On the Go Home episode of SmackDown, when the new Bloodline demanded to know who the 5th man for the OG Bloodline is going to be, the OG Bloodline comes out. And all of a sudden, you hear, ladies and gentlemen.
What a fucking pop. What a fucking pop for the wise man, too. And he looked around.
The wise man, Paul Heyman, comes out and he says, it's not going to be 5-on-4 at Survivor Series. It's going to be 5-on-5 because the Bloodline is going to be joined by this man, CM Punk.
Yep.
Hell truly has frozen over twice. 1 year after his triumphant return to the WWE, here he is teaming with Roman Reigns. 2 men that have real life heat.
Yep. You said it, man. And honestly, I didn't even think of Punk as a possibility as the 5th man, but he makes a lot of sense because this dates back to when Punk was in his hometown of Chicago on SmackDown, as I'm sure you fucking hated Punk showing up on SmackDown because he's a Raw guy. Paul Heyman is out there and he's basically saying you need to get out of Dodge because the Bloodline will come in and just demolish you. CM Punk is like insulting Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa at the time. Jacob Fatu was nowhere to be found at this point in the timeline. But CM Punk is like, if I help you out with this, Paul, what is the favor that you wanted? What did you want me to do? And Paul looks at him longingly and says, take me with you. Because Paul was hating his time in the new Bloodline. All to the point where Paul refuses to acknowledge Solo. He's beaten senseless in Madison Square Garden. He makes his return here with Punk. And here we are. War Games.
And if this still doesn't make sense to you and you don't know like WWE history, you want to talk about down since day one. Paul Heyman and CM Punk have been down since day one. Paul Heyman is the reason CM Punk got into WWE in the first place. Heyman was a huge advocate, no pun intended, for CM Punk in his early WWE days. He was the one who insisted Punk win the ECW championship. Heyman was willing to put his livelihood on the line for CM Punk. And then you fast forward to 2012, CM Punk is the WWE champion. What a match made in heaven that was. They're like peanut butter and jelly. Punk and Heyman representing Punk during his WWE title reign. And of course, CM Punk left the WWE. Him and Heyman have stayed on good terms the entire time. So it was only a matter of time when CM Punk came back to the WWE that these two were going to reunite. And this just opens a plethora of new storylines for CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman. I didn't know how much I needed CM Punk to be interjected into the storyline. So here we are, big 5-on-5 War Games match. And this is where you truly felt the big match feel for this. But it doesn't come without its silliness. For some fucking reason, WWE wants to be football. It doesn't matter if Vince is running.
Oh my God.
It doesn't matter.
You're talking about this.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if Vince is at the helm. It doesn't matter if Triple H is holding the reins to this chariot. They want to be football. And right before the match, all 10 participants in War Games introduce themselves like they're college football players.
No, it was like Sunday Night Football on NBC. Like
they announced their names, what college they went to, and some of them were just straight up silly. Like you had Tama Tonga going, Tama Tonga from University. Yeah, what did he say? Like the master of yeah.
I don't know. Jacob Fatu does his intro and he's like, I love you, Solo.
Jey Uso says he's from Yale University. Jimmy Uso says he's from NYU. No Yeet University. Actually, let me ask you about that real quick. If Jimmy and Jay are cool again, how come Jimmy is insistent on still saying no Yeet?
I don't know, man. I have to wonder if Karrion Kross is still insistent on saying no yeet.
He should be.
He should be. No yeet.
The only reason I can think of is Jimmy Uso is still the big brother, and he's just annoyed with Jay. So he's like, "Nah, man, we're cool, but I ain't saying that yeet shit. Get that yeet shit away from me."
So Jay Uso starts this match off with Tama Tonga. My first question is, why did Tama Tonga scale the cage and just climb like a spider monkey over to the other ring, all while going yeah.
Michael Cole.
Why was
really
he doing that?
Best. Tama Tonga starts scaling the cage, and Michael Cole just goes, "Seriously, what is wrong with this guy?" He is just a very strange individual.
He's so unserious.
The new Bloodline, they have to be the most wholesome faction in WWE, because if you see these guys on TV and at house shows, they're just having the fucking time of their lives. You got Tama Tonga going yeah, and then you got Solo Sikoa. Do yourself a favor, look up Solo Sikoa at house shows, and he is the silliest man alive.
Oh yeah,
he does the most nonsensical things that he wouldn't be caught dead doing on TV. It's crazy. They got to be so fun backstage.
And meanwhile, why is Jacob Fatu, after he hits a big moonsault, doing the boogeyman shuffle?
Jacob Fatu was something else in this match. He really was fucking something else in this match.
Jacob Fatu, I'm so excited to say, third time he's main evented a pay-per-view this year. Keep making the Bay Area proud. He was the MVP of this match. No question about it.
The OG Bloodline comes out in this order. First, it was Jimmy Uso. Then it was Sami Zayn. Then it was CM Punk. Then it was Roman Reigns, surprisingly. And then it was Jey Uso getting the crowd entrance. That's a crazy-ass match order entrance for these guys.
Weird.
It was
all for Jay to get his crowd entrance in. Yeah. Tama Tonga actually does attempt a pin on Jey Uso, and the crowd chants "You fucked up" at Tama Tonga during the match, which I thought was very funny. Bronson.
Honestly, Tama Tonga can get away with it because Tama Tonga is just so fucking weird. He would be the kind of guy to attempt a pinfall right away.
It's like Randy Savage attempting a pin on Yokozuna at the end of the Royal Rumble. Up next is a big Samoan powerhouse Bronson Reed, a big Samoan kaiju himself, walking to the ring, sending a half dozen chairs in along with him.
That I will agree with you on that. Big Bronson Reed doesn't need a weapon. He is a weapon, so he shouldn't even be looking at a steel chair.
Correct. So, obviously the heels are getting the advantage here. Jimmy Uso runs in there to save his brother. One of the greatest tag teams of all time do dueling Uso super kicks on Bronson Reed. Jacob Fatu. So, okay, this is interesting. So, Tonga Loa looks like he's ready to be the most productive he's been all year long, but then Solo stops him, and then he sends Jacob Fatu to the ring instead. Almost like Solo knows that Tonga Loa is not effective.
But at the same time, that is a very interesting and important detail for what happens next after this match. I mean, after this, when the next entrant comes in. Jacob Fatu, he's a fucking beast.
He is.
The things he was doing in this match, you've heard the analogy so many times of a man his size shouldn't be able to do that. It's not that Jacob Fatu shouldn't be doing it because he's big. It's the fact that he's so swift. He is so smooth. His agility is like no other.
He makes it look easy.
Yeah. The way he can just jump up on the top rope, immediately flip backwards and do a moonsault. It's just like his frame, he works like Leo Rush with a man his size. It's crazy.
Nuts, man. Jacob Fatu, again, MVP of this match, handspring elbow moonsaults, good lord, man. He was out of this world. So, then we get probably the memorable video moment of this match. CM Punk is about ready to go out of his team Shark Cage. Roman Reigns puts his hand out, stops the CM Punk from entering the match, and he sends Sami Zayn to the ring instead. Sami uncomfortably looks at Punk, and he's like, I gotta listen to my tribal chief.
For some reason.
Punk, you're not... CM Punk, Punk, you're not feeling very Usi right now. You
For
are not
some
Usi.
fucking reason, Sami Zayn feels like he needs to be loyal to Roman Reigns. And you know what? I'm going to save all my thoughts for that after this match. But like I said, it was an important detail to pay attention to. Why Reigns thought he could do that to CM Punk of all people. Roman Reigns was probably sitting there in the cage. He looked over at what Solo Sikoa was doing with Tonga Loa and Jacob Fatu. And Roman Reigns thought, I'm still the tribal chief. If Solo Sikoa can do that, I'm going to command my troops the same way. And he thought he could pull this shit with CM Punk.
Yeah, and we get a great shot of Punk and Reigns just both with their arms crossed, leaning on opposite sides of the cage, practicing perfect physical distancing, almost like Roman Reigns caught COVID again.
It's so fucking funny how that image turned into a meme.
It did.
There was like memes saying like, "Oh, when you're waiting at the bus stop with some dude you don't even know."
The car ride home with your girlfriend after an argument.
Yeah, exactly. When you caught your homie texting the girl you were talking to and you're sharing the same Uber.
Exactly. Sami and Jimmy do their classic handshake gimmick that they do. All of the crowd is chanting Sami Uso. Jacob Fatu goes back in and he for some reason hits an execution on Jimmy Uso.
Taylor DDT.
It was very weird. Why is he paying tribute to Edge right now? Edge has not been seen in
DDT.
I really like ever since I saw Edge wrestle Sheamus, I don't know what happened to that guy. Like it made me very concerned.
Some geek named Adam Copeland in AEW. I know this sounds unrelated, but it's not. Some geek named Adam Copeland jumped off a cage and broke his ankle.
Yeah.
What a jabroni that guy
looks
is.
Looks a lot like Edge too, using his theme music too. Like,
Edge should sue him for copyright infringement.
Yeah,
for gimmick infringement too.
He really should, man. I really hope Edge is doing okay. Much like I hope El Generico and the Orphans are doing okay.
Adam Copeland he feels very on edge right now.
So in comes Tonga Loa, brings a table into the ring, making Tonga Loa by default the biggest babyface in the match because this crowd wanted tables. The heels are in control 4-on-3. Fatu again, double jump moonsault off the top rope. Like, I'm sorry we keep talking back about Jacob Fatu, but this guy is just unreal. He really is. CM Punk comes out. Roman Reigns is about to walk down to the ring, take about 7 years to do his whole entrance again to get to War Games. CM Punk shoulder bumps him, and he's like, oh no, I'm not waiting for this guy anymore. I'm just going to go out there myself.
Fucking shoulder checks him. And that is so important too, because that was CM Punk saying, you know what? Your cousins, you may be able to fool them. Hell, you may be able to fool Sami Zayn. But I'm CM fucking Punk, and I don't take orders from anyone.
Yeah.
So that was story element number one. That was very important in this match.
Goes in there with a toolbox against 4 angry Samoans and just starts wailing on him. He hits his running knee and his bulldog on Jacob Fatu. Fatu's head hits the toolbox, and Fatu no-sells it. He gets up, like, after the bulldog, like, Punk is about to, like, you know, do his motion or go to sleep. Doesn't realize that Fatu is standing up behind him, and I'm like, this is proof. I mean, I'm not gonna, like, give it a pass because Fatu no-sold it, but this is proof that you never hit a Samoan in the head. You never try to hit a Samoan in the head because it's not gonna work.
I just realized I want to see CM Punk versus Jacob Fatu because Umaga never got his win back from Punk. So it's up to Fatu now to do it for him.
Do it for Eki. Do it for Eki, yes. Man. Solo goes in and he hits a rock bottom on Sami Zayn, which is odd because we never saw Dwayne Johnson appear in this match, even though I think he is the Palpatine of the new Bloodline. In any case, Reed tsunami splash on Sami Zayn, which should have fucking killed him, squashed him like a bug. CM Punk surrounded by 5 heels, and they're all beating him up. Solo, I guess, had a big padlock in his shorts the entire time. Worked the whole 3-minute time period with that padlock in his trunks, which makes me very concerned about his well-being. He takes it out. He locks it from the inside so that Roman cannot get in through the door, and then he throws the key away. When the clock counts down, these heels are so dumb. Because Roman Reigns just waltzes down to the ring, scales the steel cage. The bad Samoans try to keep Roman out, and it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy for Roman to
How
get in. I
come
mean, there's no roof.
wrestlers? How long has the steel cage match been a thing? It's been a thing for decades, right? Probably like 50 years, going back to the olden days of pro wrestling. Do wrestlers just forget or just don't think that they can climb over? There's no roof to the cage. Now, if this was Hell in a Cell, if this was Lethal Lockdown even, because that match gets a roof when all the participants enter, they could climb over the cage.
They really could. They really could.
Also, you say Solo Sikoa was carrying around a padlock in his trunks. That's okay. At least he's not reaching into CM Punk's trunks, pulling out a bracelet, and then kissing it.
I mean, I thought it was the other way around. Punk was the one kissing the bracelet, not Drew.
It was, but Punk was the only one involved in that. So I want to put it past Punk. I mean, You got wrestlers like William Regal putting brass knucks in there. You got guys like MJF putting a ring down there, and he kisses the ring. MJF is probably very confident about his personal hygiene if he's willing to do that on a regular basis.
Disgusting. Roman hits a big crossbody onto all the villains, and then he starts helping up all of his troops except for CM Punk. Just leaves Punk laying down on the canvas. Punk has to help himself up.
This is my favorite story arc, by the way, in the entire match, was the interactions between Reigns and Punk.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't put it past WWE to want to book Punk versus Roman in Vegas. I wouldn't put it past them. I would be down to see that. Especially when you have the shot of them staring down at each other. Paul Heyman walks down the aisleway. He's in the middle. He's between the two of them. He's like, you can't turn on each other now. This is War Games. And then, Match Beyond officially begins at this point. And it's typical War Games chaos. That's exactly what you would expect. I mean, it's really solid wrestling here. The big spot of the night. God, poor Bronson Reed, man.
Before that, actually, there was a very important part where the babyfaces were finally getting over. CM Punk, Roman Reigns sets up for a spear on Solo Sikoa, and Sikoa moves and he nails CM Punk with the spear.
He does.
And I saw that, I go, holy fuck, that's not going to be good. CM Punk is such a hothead. He already hates Roman Reigns enough as it is. That's going to be the implosion of the bloodline in this match. And
he done fucked up.
The way they went about this, though, it's like CM Punk is the first wrestler in history to have some fucking common sense.
He done fucked up, man. Roman done fucked up again. But the big spot of the match, Bronson Reed goes up there. Roman Reigns is laid out on a table. Bronson Reed goes to the top of the cage. He goes for a big tsunami splash off the top, Rikishi style.
Where the fuck was Wade Barrett when we needed him?
Good Lord,
where
man.
was Wade Barrett when we needed him?
I mean,
that would have been the biggest tsunami call in history.
But Punk pulls Roman out of the way. Bronson Reed shatters the table himself, and unfortunately shatters his ankle. It's the same song and dance that we saw from Edge at Double or Nothing when he had that steel cage match against Malachi Black. Yeah, I mean, I think those spots should be retired. Honestly, as cool of a visual as it is, if you don't get enough flat, you got to make sure you protect your feet and your leg area.
And as much as an optimist as I am, and I think that's just because I'm such a big Bronson Reed mark, I saw that and I go, please, can he somehow make it back for the Rumble? And then I read more reports and I'm like, fuck, he's not going to be back anytime soon. If we are lucky, night after WrestleMania.
If lucky.
We are lucky.
Yeah.
But we're not going to be lucky. And that just makes me so fucking angry.
Because Bronson Reed had so much fucking momentum. He really did. And the injury, unfortunately, is going to set him back for a little bit. And we get it. Injuries happen. But in this case, because Bronson Reed was on the ascent, that's why it sucks so much. Solo Samoan spike on Roman Reigns. They're breaking up the pin with a double super kick.
Oh, actually, real quick. Ironically, I wanted to talk about this spot because it scared the shit out of me. Jacob Fatu went for another moonsault and he completely whiffed it and he landed on his knee and he immediately clutched his knee in pain. I'm like, no. not Fatu. Please.
He
But
did that at
thank
SummerSlam
God.
too, though. He did that at SummerSlam, but I mean,
And honestly, he took himself out of the match, and that was the only way they could. That's like WWE's weird way of protecting Fatu.
yeah, but Fatu was also hit with the 1D by the Usos, which was
Yeah.
really cool to see. I've missed the 1D as a move and as a finisher, but
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out just to say that Jacob Fatu is really good at selling because I was scared. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, not now. Not fucking now. But unfortunately, we'll talk about it after the match. There was somebody in the new bloodline that did get fucking injured too.
And well, it was Tongaloa. So I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that Tongaloa is useless, but like he's been the biggest non-factor in this stable. I will tell you that much.
We need all forces present for the new bloodline, and all I'll say about that is
debatable.
It fucking sucks. Obviously, we never wish injury on anyone, but Tongaloa is just a klutz.
Yeah,
I want to like him. I really do, but he's just a klutz.
Jimmy with an Uso splash on Fatu through the table. I think that's the move that took him out.
He got fucking injured too.
Jimmy Uso got injured. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So these are the three things I got from these injuries. Number one, fuck, Bronson Reed got injured. Number two, Tongaloa was a klutz. And number three, Jimmy is very injury prone. He just came back from what? A 7-month injury layoff?
Yeah.
Just to get injured again? Like, God fucking damn it.
Yeah. It's a shame, man. It's a shame. But yeah, this match ends up with Solo Sikoa on his own with every single babyface surrounding him, and they all get their finishers in. Uso super kick, Sami Zayn with one hell of a kick on Solo Sikoa. Then CM Punk hits him with the GTS. Solo staggers, Roman hits him with the spear, and that's what it had to be. Roman pinning Solo with the help of CM Punk. And
before we got into the Bronson Reed injury talk, I wanted to say I was so thrilled when Punk helped Reigns off of the table because I go, finally, a wrestler with some common sense. Punk probably came to and thought, there's no way Roman Reigns speared me on purpose. He would be a goddamn fool to spear me on purpose. Because number one, he's not going to sacrifice this match. And number two, he doesn't want to make a fucking enemy out of me. So Punk, you could either say Punk had common sense or he was like, you know what? For the first time in my life, I'm gonna let this one slide. I'm gonna brush it off, and I'm still gonna help Roman Reigns win the match. And I loved the ending spot too because CM Punk hoists Solo Sikoa up for the GTS, and he looks at Roman Reigns, and they both give each other a subtle nod, like you know what to do. And they were they were working together. It was such a cool visual.
They took out the new bloodline.
As Bray Wyatt doing the handgun signal to Roman Reigns to do the spear. Nothing will fucking beat that.
No.
It did
that
kind
timing
of remind me of that. It did kind of remind me of that.
This War Games match was really good. I'm gonna go 4 1/4. This was a really good main event. I thought the storyline between Reigns and Punk was solid. I would not be opposed to them fighting each other at Mania. I thought everybody else got their spots in. Fatu was the MVP of the match, and nobody can convince me otherwise. Yeah, I think this is what War Games should be.
So the match itself is a 4, but the tremendous storytelling from Roman Reigns and CM Punk is going to give that extra point to become a 4 1/4. I also loved after the match how the OG Bloodline are in the ring. They all look at each other. 4 out of the 5 throw up the 1, and CM Punk does the go to sleep signal. It's perfect. Just CM Punk is just the definition of I am part of no team. I am a lone wolf. I ain't doing the fucking one.
No.
He is his own island of relevancy.
That's right. That's right.
They all, one by one, exit the ring. They hug the wise man, and when it's Punk's turn, he hugs him, and he tells him in his ear, when I'm ready for that favor, I'm going to get it. And Paul Heyman said, it's all yours. What is Paul Heyman talking about? We don't know. In the beginning, I thought it would be a WWE Championship match because think about it. Roman Reigns has yet to get his rematch for the WWE Championship. And if he
doesn't get a rematch. There's no rematch clauses.
Well, no, just like in theory, because Nick Aldis did bring it up in the fall time. But think about it. The sheer thought that CM Punk is going to jump the line before Roman Reigns is going to send Roman Reigns into a fucking tizzy. But that's debunked because CM Punk came out on Raw and said, He wants a championship match, but he either wants to get it at the Royal Rumble or he wants to win his shot in the Elimination Chamber. He wants to do it the right way. So what could Punk be talking about? What could the favor be?
Main event match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
It could be a main event match at Mania for sure. It could be he wants Heyman to come to Raw and be his advocate too. Something that's going to piss off Roman Reigns. Because when Reigns asked Paul Heyman what's the favor, Heyman didn't want to tell him. He said, let's get through War Games and then I'll tell you. And as of this recording, oh no, well, SmackDown has happened. There was no Roman Reigns on the show. There was no Paul Heyman on the show. So we're not going to get a follow-up to that for a while. And I love this so much. I love it when there's those little things that keeps you guessing. It makes you want to tune in every week. Just like The Rock and Cody Rhodes. What did The Rock give Cody Rhodes? We still don't know. And
it was no. We know it was 2 tickets to the Moana 2 premiere,
and Cody took them.
Yeah,
he gave one to Rollins.
Yes,
I love this. I love Triple H's storytelling, and it's not just Triple H. We can't give him all the credit. All the players involved, they're playing their part. Triple H is a fantastic director, and he has a fantastic cast with him.
Yes, he does. That's why WWE is unlike any other in the sports entertainment world. But yeah,
there is one thing we need to talk about. Who wasn't on this show? The
Cody
WWE
Rhodes
champion, Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't defend his title. He's defending his title at Saturday Night's Main Event against Kevin Owens. And here's the big thing I wanted to get into, and it all ties in. Kevin Owens is right.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is Kevin Owens right, Seth Rollins is right too. Look at the story they're portraying with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes right now. Since 2020, Kevin Owens has been facing Roman Reigns and the entire bloodline. He has been screwed out of the Universal Championship several times, whether it was at the Royal Rumble, whether it was at what did he like on SmackDown. Kevin Owens has been at war with Roman Reigns since the beginning of 2020. He rekindled his friendship with Sami Zayn to win the tag team titles. He backed up Cody Rhodes, not only at WrestleMania 39, but WrestleMania 40 as well in the build. He put so much on the line. Even this year, teaming with Randy Orton and Cody going up against the new bloodline. He has put everything on the line for Cody Rhodes. And this is how Cody Rhodes repays him? What fucking reason does Cody Rhodes have for teaming up with Roman Reigns? He has zero reason.
Because Cody wants to be the valiant, wants to be the guy who is the peacemaker in all situations, and he wants to end racism across all WWE, right?
Think about it this way, Zach. What if in Endgame, you know when the Avengers find Thanos in his little safe house and they see how pathetic and run down he is? What if Captain America stuck out his hand and said, "We forgive you"? Would that infuriate you?
A little bit, yeah.
Would that infuriate you?
Mm-hmm.
That's what Cody Rhodes did to Roman Reigns. And you know who else is right? Seth Rollins. Because Seth Rollins sacrificed everything to help out Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40. He took focus off of his World Heavyweight Championship. He lost to The Rock. He ultimately lost the World Championship because of his involvement in the Bloodline story. He got embarrassed in the main event by Roman Reigns, all for a guy that he doesn't even like in Cody Rhodes.
Indeed.
And this is how Cody Rhodes repays him. This is how Sami Zayn repays him. Look at all of the abuse Sami Zayn went through with the Bloodline. Sure, his friendship with the probably, has had to leg up in that. But I could forgive all of this. If Roman Reigns has done one thing to redeem himself since he returned. He has not. He has not apologized. He has not admitted to the error of his ways. Everything he's involved with Solo Sikoa in the new bloodline, that's a Roman Reigns problem. Why the fuck should Cody Rhodes be standing up for him? Why the fuck should Sami Zayn be standing up for him? Why the fuck should Seth Rollins be standing up for him? All of that, and Kevin Owens is being deemed the bad guy. He's getting banned from SmackDown. He is being looked at like he's an omen, like he's a bad omen on the show. All because Kevin Owens, he's Okay, I'll get into another aspect of the story, but Kevin Owens isn't being a bad guy. His feelings are hurt. His heart is broken, but he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. The stuff with Randy Orton, did he need to drop Randy Orton on his head? No. That's where I'll say, okay, Kevin Owens, you're kind of in the wrong there.
That was fucking uncalled for. That was uncalled for.
Kevin Owens going a little too far with some of his actions on SmackDown, like trying to break Cody Rhodes' ankle and being so stubborn and unreasonable that he won't even listen to Michael Cole in the car interview. Yeah, sure. But Kevin Owens is right. He is so justified.
And that is what makes these villainous characters so compelling and so interesting. And that is what makes WWE these days so interesting. And I feel like this is something that we can get into more so in the Saturday Night's Main Event review too, but I think this is kind of like a little nice palate cleanser, nice little appetizer for something that we can get into deeper. But this Survivor Series show, I don't want to say it was horrible. I don't want to say it was great. I think it was solid, but it's still it's a testament. It shows you that WWE is in a much better place than it used to be in. I'm giving Survivor Series 7.25 out of 10. I feel like it's on the weaker side of WWE shows, but it could have been a lot better, but could have been a lot worse too.
You know what? I was gonna try and give the show the nod, but considering the undercard was so underwhelming and the women's War Games match was so bad, I'm going to stick with my 6.75 out of 10.
Damn.
A C plus.
Damn.
A C plus. A B minus if I was in a better mood, or a 7 out of 10. But I don't know. I can't. This show was okay. AEW Full Gear had great wrestling, but terrible storytelling. WWE had the opposite. Not so great wrestling for the most part, but tremendous storytelling.
Yep.
And I just think it's a tale of two cities. It's the tale of two companies. One company is excelling at better stuff than the other, and vice versa.
Let's put that all together and let's have a phenomenal wrestling company do both things. Great.
Now,
WWE was.
You know what that means? AEW and WWE need to have a super show. Come on, man.
Come on, Tony. Don't be a fucking pathetic little coward. So
I want to see Jon Moxley versus fucking Gunther.
I want to see Jon Moxley versus Roman Reigns because the fan was telling him go back to Roman anyway.
I want to see Will Ospreay versus Cody Rhodes. Come on, man. Come on, Tony Khan.
God. I want to see Kazuchika Okada versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Come on.
Put me to pussy. Come on. I want to see the Young Bucks versus the Usos in a 1,000 super kick match. Come on.
All that fun and much more on the ZNT show.
Braun Breaker versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Come on.
Hit that subscribe button.
Oh, wait.
Wow. Okay, hit that. We're not going to get into that right now, but hit that subscribe button, thumbs up as well. We got AEW World's End coming up, and I'm sure there will be another AEW rant at some point during that podcast. We got our retrospectives coming up. We got Saturday Night's Main Event. No shortage of topics here. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Commence that back talk. Talk to you guys soon.